long it has all these new pop-ups and stuff, and I don't know what they're saying to me. So we'll just wing it. See what happens. We're recording,
sounds
so
good.
we're good now. And welcome in, takers, to Just the Tip, a fantasy football podcast. Long time, no talk, no pod. Welcome back to you listeners. Hopefully you didn't miss us too much. If you go back and listen to my explanation of where we've been in the podcast feed, and quick little summary of what happened. But thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for talking to us on social media, Just a Tip FFP. I am Mac Disfat Bidge, and we got over the pond Jake Dynasty Brit. How you doing, man?
Yeah, very well, mate. Thanks for having me, man. Glad to be back with you guys.
Yeah, it's always a good time having you on. It's when you're here, it's rookie draft season, so it's always a good time getting ready for your rookie mock drafts. Or you're probably doing those, but the actual draft happening, and then your rookie drafts. So I kind of mortgage my future to win the championship, so I don't have many picks to go off of. But yeah, it's still an exciting time. Ryan and Regan, the usual hosts that are with us, are not with us today. Ryan is off doing something. Let's check in with him.
I just jack in Regan's and try to upload some pictures. That's all I do.
What are you doing, Regan?
Jeez. Man, all right. Well, they're off doing that, so it's just us two. They'll be back occasionally, popping in here and there. Then we'll have some new faces on during the season. Some new stuff coming at you this year, so hopefully you takers enjoy that. But today we are getting into rookie prospects, just a couple names, some guys that we really like in their ideal landing spots for our selfish reasons. And we are recording on Sunday, April 21st. So if things change, if somebody traded up or whatever, you'll know that we didn't have that knowledge. But Jake, what do you want to start with? You want to start with QBs, RBs, wide receivers? Where do you want to go?
Yeah, why not QBs? Seeing as they'll be the first guys off the board anyway in the draft. Pretty set in stone that Caleb's going to the Bears at this point. But yeah, let's go QBs.
All right, minus 20,000 on DraftKings if you're interested.
Jesus Christ! Oh my god!
Yeah, and he's making a lot of demands too. So, all right, I guess the only question for Caleb Williams is he going to be a bust or not, Jake?
I can't see it personally. I mean, you look at the guys that have come out of like the Lincoln Riley School of QBs over the past 4 or 5 years or so. Going back to Baker, you got Kyler. Like even Baker made a resurgence last year with the Bucks, and was pretty reliable, right? Like so, I can't see him being a bust. He's pretty complete prospect for me.
Enough said on it, right? So, Chicago set them up with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. Finally, they actually set up their team, their quarterback to succeed. What a novel concept on that. So, get a little tongue twisted. Sorry, takers. I'm a bit rusty. So I guess number 2, Washington. What they're not letting anybody know. But who do you think they should take? Drake May, go with North Carolina again, like they did with Sam Howell, or go Jaden Daniels here, former Heisman winner?
It's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? Because Jake, they like vastly different type of prospect, right? Jaden Daniels is kind of like a third or fourth year breakout. He massive rushing upside. A lot of the throws he made weren't in tight windows in that LSU offense. Like really widespread concepts. And then you have Drake May, who was early into his career as a QB in college and showed like really great traits that would translate to the to the next
Mm-hmm.
level. But then like this year just gone, he's had a bit of a sort of plateaued a little bit this year. It seems some like, do you know what I mean, some of his decision making wasn't all that great.
Mm-hmm.
Seen quite a lot of people that are like that I've seen, and they're sort of dissecting his film. A lot of people that I've noticed they point out the fact that he always goes for like the difficult throw, like tries to put it into, like, he can, don't get me wrong, it's not like he can't put it into a tight window, but he's like skips over the guy running like a cross route over the middle, who's like clear acres of space to fire it into, like, do you know what I mean, to the outside in like a tiny little window. So I mean, I feel like there's upsides and downsides of both there. I think it's like, how do you want to craft your offense? Do you know what I mean? How do you want to, do you want the Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts type of offense, that like has the QB as like a massive run threat, or do you go the more traditional style of offense? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean, like a Justin Herbert, or like where that's like much more predicated on pocket presence and throwing. So I mean, I can't see which way they're going to go at the moment, to be honest with you.
They're keeping it very close to the chest. So I think they're going to go Jaden Daniels, which I would prefer Drake May to go there, just because, for selfish reasons. If Jaden Daniels, with the rushing upside, like you said, I mean, he had 3,000 yards rushing and 12,000 yards passing. So that the first player to do that. With that great rushing ability, we'd be better in New England, because he's not going to nuke anybody's value in New England. Like, what wide receiver in New England are you going to be like, oh man, if he takes, let's say, 10 rushing touchdowns, that's 5 that could have gone to that number one wide receiver, Kendrick Bourne. Like, all right, not that big a deal. Or the running backs too. It's Antonio Gibson, Ramondre Stevenson. But I don't know, if you're still a believer in Jahan Dotson or Terry McLaurin, like if he's going to take away some scoring opportunities for them from that passing. So, but yeah, Drake May kind of lower on the interceptions rate, but like you said, his decision making, it just needs better vision on the field. Take the wins on the throws instead of going swinging for the fences all the time. So I'm going to bet on Jaden Daniels, and I honestly like it in New England, just for selfish reasons only. So we'll see. Real quick, JJ McCarthy, you think he'll be a top 10 pick, or you think he's going to, like, do we believe the hype? Like, okay, he's efficient. They always were. Like, if you listen to the podcast, I'm sure you do, take. There's nothing wrong with that. Just efficient on third down. They're always leading in Michigan. They're always leading in the second half. He didn't have to throw so much and whatnot. But what do you think on JJ McCarthy? What's a good fit for?
It's a tough one, man. That is really a tough one, because I don't really feel like we've seen everything that he can do, or he definitely hasn't been made to win games with his arm. You know, he's made some like really great throws in some clutch situations, but I think it was like before the playoff games, going into that semi-final against Alabama, I think he'd thrown about something like 27 passes in like 4 games or something, like the last 4 games of the season. So it's like, it's hard to tell, but he's obviously got the character traits. Obviously a smart kid. He's been talked up highly by a lot of scouts. I hope he goes somewhere where he doesn't have to play immediately. I feel like he's one of those guys that, give him a year, maybe even 2 years, like get him up to that standard. I think if you chuck him in early, I feel like it could be a bit of a disaster.
Yeah, I would say so. He's not battle tested enough. So yeah, definitely let him develop somewhere. But a lot of people are saying the Vikings. I think they're in the 11th position right now. But like Denver, they need a QB, or the Raiders. I could see one of them taking them. So I'm gonna try having a betting episode later this week, but it's gonna be interesting. It could be the first time ever that there's more, or breaking the record. Was it 19 offensive players to be taken in the first round? they could probably break that record this year with like 5 quarterbacks going this year, and then all the offensive linemen and wide receivers. So it'll be interesting. So I really don't rank any positions like, oh, this is my QB1, this is my QB2, like, or wide receivers. Like, let's see where their landing spots are right now. But I guess we'll brush over running backs real quick. It's not that great of a class, right?
One of the worst we've had in quite a while, I think. Really.
Right. So you know what that means. That there's going to be one absolute stud that breaks out this year that nobody sees coming. It'll be an undrafted guy like James Robinson with Jaguars or somebody like that. So,
yeah.
But it seems like the consensus one right now is Jonathan Brooks from Texas. He's coming off an ACL injury. Supposedly rehab's going well and stuff. 6 foot, 216 pounds. So good size running back. He had to wait for Bijan to get out of the way, right? So you got to take a risk in your rookie mock draft. I mean, let's say he goes to, I don't know, Dallas. You got to take him at the back end of the first round in a rookie mock, or you just got to pass on running backs this whole class, or what are your thoughts?
I mean, there's always the famous caveat of it comes down to team need, right? But I personally, I'll be passing. The one I like best is actually Trey Benson out of FSU. I like his versatility. Jonathan Brooks, I haven't really seen that much of him. You know, like obviously he had the ACL injury last year, and then he was behind Bijan before that. So I'm sure if like the scouts obviously really like him, he's got the size. He's a good between the tackles runner. So like those things normally translate really well to the next level, right? So hopefully he goes somewhere where there's like a good situation for him to get early playing time, or maybe not, you know, if he's still rehabbing that injury a little bit. But honestly, like I'm so down on the running back class this year that I'm passing. Really, I'm mostly passing. I'd rather take a wide receiver that has like high upside but low floor than one of these running backs at the moment.
Because most likely what's going to happen is that these running backs are going to be taken in backup positions behind somebody like I don't know, Brees Hall, or with the Ravens behind Derrick Henry and stuff. And it's like, all right, do I take these guys and wait for an injury? I guess if you see a path, I'm okay taking them in like the early second, taking one of these running backs with the best landing spot, in your opinion. Like my guy would be Blake Corum, just because we've seen him as a workhorse running back, and that's rare. I mean, they didn't pass to him much. I think he had like 23 receptions last year. But I mean, Ken Walker didn't have much of that either, and he's been a solid RB2, as long as he's not injured. So if he goes to Dallas, I think he's going to jump up people's boards. He's kind of like RB5, RB6 consensus with the fantasy analysts. That's the word I'm looking for. So people prospected him. So I don't know. I like Blake Corum, and I think he can do well. You know, nobody's going to be a top 12 running back this year, right? Like we're not expecting that, or even in the future. Yeah, even in the future.
Maybe in the future. I Blake Corum. That Michigan offense is very like NFL. Like the concepts are very like NFL centric, right? Do you know what I mean? So if there's one that's probably most ready immediately, it's probably him. I can't see any of these rookies breaking out and having a massive year. Like maybe they have a massive year in terms of like clutch plays or what have you, or like impacting their team, but for fantasy purposes, I can't see it personally.
Yeah. No, that's why I'm just looking for a guy that, you know, you can see him getting 250 carries in his college year. And it's like, all right, he's going to be reliable in that aspect. Like he'll find a decent job in the NFL, but it's just, I don't see pathways until they're on a team to see these guys be relevant this year. Same thing with tight ends. I don't know. Should we just get the tight ends right out of the way here?
Yeah, may as well.
All right. Yeah, Bowers. Where do you want him to go? He's the next Kyle Pitts hype, the best athlete, tight end and stuff. So hopefully he has a little more touchdowns than Kyle Pitts. We'll
Yeah,
see.
or just or he's just on the field for a few more passing plays. Like, yeah.
And a better quarterback than Marcus Mariota throwing to him.
Yeah, I love his profile. Like, his tape is amazing. Obviously, being on the like arguably the best college team over the last 3 years, like combined. He didn't test at the combine, and I don't think he even did like the testing at his pro day either. I know he did like routes and plays and stuff like that for the scouts, but I think he's one of these guys. I think for me, he massively passes the eye test. He's super athletic, a great pass catcher, differently built than Pitts. Like, Pitts just looked like a big wide receiver. Like, do you know what I mean? Whereas Bowers looks more like a tight end, but plays just the same, just like a wide receiver. He can make all the catches. So no, I'd love to see him go somewhere where it's like quite an open offense. That they're not going to put him on the line and ask him to do loads of blocking, because obviously for fantasy that means his value just plummets. If for this first season, his rookie season, he's spending like predominantly all of his time on the line. Immediately he loses any like real good trade value, and obviously he's not going to be a massive contributor in terms of points. So just want to see is somewhere where they like utilize his talents. Like, I was gutted about like seeing Pitts, seeing what happened to Pitts over the last few years, because I really thought like he's like a super good offensive weapon, and he's just not been used that way. So I just hope that isn't the same outcome for Bowers.
So yeah, we don't want him going to the Chargers then, where they're just going to ground and pound with that offense. Yeah, I don't know. I would like to see him with the Jets, honestly. If it's him and Aaron Rodgers can supply him like he did with Robert Tonyan and Devontae Adams at the same time. So I would like to see him land there. What are they, the 10th spot, I think? Trying to bring up the draft board, but not that big a deal. Yeah, Jets would be cool.
Yeah, I think he'll go in the top 15 picks regardless. But going to the Jets would be quite a nice situation, because they don't really have a tight end one that's sort of like contributing to the offense massively. So at least his fantasy value would hold, or at least maybe even incline a little bit. Anywhere that utilizes his talents properly. We see that too often, right? With tight ends, they come out, they look like they're going to be these great pass catches, and then they just get stuck on the line, and they're used in jumbo sets and all the rest of it. So yeah, I definitely want to see him used properly.
Limited packages and stuff. Like if he went to Chicago, then he's shadowed, or he's under the shadow of Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. More about them later, but yeah, hopefully he doesn't go there. All right, and there's really nobody else worth talking about for tight end. It's kind of like that Trey McBride year a couple years ago. Not like last year. Like, people had the debate, Laporta, Kincaid, like who are we taking and stuff. It's really not like that. The only other guy that I'm kind of interested is Ben Sennett, just because he's versatile. He played fullback as well. Like, he's tall, he has long strides and stuff, so he can, I don't know, like a Dallas Clark type of guy that can move the chains and be a good red zone threat, something like that. But he's not going to break away with top speed. Maybe play for Cincinnati. That'd be kind of cool. He had Jamar Chase stretching the field, and then he's underneath to move the chains. He might be serviceable. So I would take a late flyer on him if you feel that way. In like the 4th round of your rookie draft.
Yeah.
We'll see where he lands, but yeah, there's really nobody else worth talking about in tight end unless you got somebody.
No, I agree, mate. Yeah, like I just on Sinnott, like yeah, I agree with everything you said. But again, like guys like that, it's just there's no immediate fantasy impact that's gonna. He's not someone you're gonna pick up if you're going for the title this year. Do you know what I mean? If you think you've got everything, he's not going to be an impact piece. So yeah, like I said, I'm passing on these sorts of guys for flyers on wide receiver. You know, like even guys that I think like might not look like they're gonna have immediate impact or what have you. I'd much rather take someone that's got a really high upside that might come for me like second season, third season. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or
it's a bit of it.
Or trade out. You know. Don't be afraid to trade out here if you're not liking somebody. Don't be afraid of doing that. But I guess let's get the meat and potatoes of this draft, the wide receivers here. So I don't know if you agree with me here. Marvin Harrison Jr., number 1. I know, shocking take, but I've seen a bunch of mock drafts that have him like number 2 or number 3. I'm just disregarding every single one of those mock drafts I read. I'm not even reading any further than that if I don't see him going to Arizona or New England at 3 and 4. So I guess that's your consensus too on Marvin Harrison there.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely the most complete prospect. I can't see him going past like 5. Basically, I think if Arizona don't take him, they're mental. Because Kyler Murray needs that type of guy that, do you know what I mean? Kyler Murray has proven himself to be not all that accurate sometimes, and to struggle with tight windows. And someone like Marvin Harrison is like a get out of jail free card, isn't he? Like, athletically, he's already there. I could see him having like a massive impact when he goes to that type of team that clearly needs an out and out one. Definitely don't disagree with you at all, mate.
All right. Malik Neighbors or Roma Dunze? Who are you taking? I guess this is more of a debate topic. Not really debate, but who's your preference?
The SEC fan in me wants to say Neighbors, but I feel, but even though he's come from LSU and like I'm an Alabama fan, but I feel like again he benefited from that crazy offense last year, really wide open route concepts, but again like he made some really tough catches. He's an absolute beast, yak machine. But I think in terms of like the more complete like wide receiver prospect, I like Odunze more. The way he tracks the ball, especially over his shoulder, like he doesn't look back to the very last second. I like his like raw traits. I think they transfer really, really well. And he's got the size, got the quickness, got the agility. So yeah, I feel like I would, if I had to, like, if I was put into a pick one or the other type of situation. Again, this is like without knowing their landing spot. I'd probably take Odunze over Neighbors at the moment. But again, landing spot has a massive effect on this, because especially when they're so close, like these two guys.
Yeah, I mean, watch him go to Atlanta and have to compete with Kyle Pitts and Drake London or something at number 8. Or if the Giants, I don't want to think about the Giants taking him. Or if he goes to Chicago and he has to compete with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, like, are you gonna take Odunze, or Neighbors goes to, I don't know, a better landing spot? I guess we'll say the Chargers at number 5, and he has more of a path to be the number 1, and the other guy doesn't. Like it, so that you're talking about landing spot. Is that going to be the deciding factor? Or are you still going to go with the guy that you like and his talent and his traits?
I like what the comparison you just mentioned. I think is like a good one to to base it off. Like if you have someone like Neighbors who goes to a place like the Chargers, and then Odunze's battling up against veteran wide receivers like Moore and Allen, then my needle moves towards Neighbors, because I think in that situation that does affect immediate fantasy production. So in that situation, I would move towards Neighbors. But if the difference in landing spot is somewhat negligible, then I feel like I just like Odunze as a prospect more, and I've seen as Kalen DeBoer is now the head coach of Alabama. I kind of feel some loyalty towards this former guy.
Right. Of course. So he'll tip that way for sure. I like Odunze too. His toughness aspect of him too. Playing with like a broken rib, punctured lungs, like down the stretch. That's the kind of guy that you'll want. I mean, I could see the Jets taking him too. Like if Aaron Rodgers is like, "Hey, I need another weapon." So,
see that would upset me if because obviously Garrett Wilson there is even without Rodgers last year was like a really decent fantasy asset and produced as much as you would expect anyone to produce in their rookie season without their veteran quarterback. You got someone like what's his name, Zach Wilson throwing you the ball. It's
man.
like. Yeah, so like, I mean, if Odunze went there, I'd be kind of gutted. But then there's no reason why someone like Aaron Rodgers can't make 2 wide receivers fantasy relevant. So as long as he's enough. Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be the full season. Like he doesn't really do that. But I mean, it's so unknown. Like we saw him with Jordy Nelson and Devontae Adams, like just making those guys friggin' Hall of Fame wide receivers, as Devontae Adams would say. But I don't think I would like him going there either. I want to see what Garrett Wilson can do on his own out there and put up Devontae Adams prime numbers, top 3 wide receiver. So I don't know. You got any other wide receivers? I have a couple, but I'll let you take the floor if you like, or I'll go, then you go. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, man. Yeah, 1 second. Let me just quickly switch to my document that I put together.
All right.
Don't worry, it's nothing special.
Oh, damn it.
So yeah, Brian Thomas also coming out of that LSU offense, right? 6'4", 205, big guy, stretches the field. Didn't have to do too much in terms of like the route tree. Wasn't asked to do too much, but he has like that raw ability that I think NFL scouts love, and that I think a lot of mocks have him going in that first round, even in the top 15, top 20 picks. I think if he gets that type of capital with someone with his like physical traits, I think he's going to get like every opportunity to produce. And he might get thrown in straight away, but he might not. But I think when you have someone like him, his physical traits, like he has really great long speed, quickness and agility, but also the height. So I think he also had like a bunch of basketball scholarships before like focusing on football. So someone like him, I think scouts love that type of guy, right? Multiple sport athlete, like ridiculous physical traits, good agility for the type of size that he has. I like him as a prospect in terms of what I think NFL coaches will think of him. I think he'll get a lot of opportunities. So he's definitely one I'm taking like a good look at and just like really keeping an eye on to see where he goes,
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what do you have? 68 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 17 touchdowns, averaging 17 yards per catch. Like that, insane numbers like that. Like, I don't know, DeAndre Hopkins type style stuff there, man. So that X wide receiver playing on the outside there. So I'm not saying he's going to be DeAndre Hopkins, people. I'm just saying, like, you could similar traits. So, where do you want to see him land?
I mean, it's a tough one, really, because I feel like wherever he goes, because of his physical traits, I think that, like, do you know what I mean? There'll be types of plays that will be crafted for him that will be perfect. I don't want to see him go to. I mean, I don't want to see him go somewhere like the Patriots.
No.
That again, like, yeah, I want to see him. Mainly, I want to see him go somewhere where the offensive line gives the QB enough time to let him get downfield and break out of the route. You know, so somewhere that has a decent offensive line.
Jacksonville at number 17.
Yeah, exactly. Like somewhere like that. I mean, I'm not too much. We have to be honest. I'm not that clued up on the strength of some of the offensive lines. Like, I wouldn't want to see him go to the Titans, for example.
No, you wouldn't want
who are struggling to build their offensive line back again. I wouldn't want to see him go there.
The Giants, you wouldn't want to see that.
Right.
They need
no way. No way.
Minnesota, you don't want him going to because Addison and Jefferson, they're not going to take him anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And he would just end up being like he wouldn't see the field anywhere near as much as he would on other teams with obviously where you got Addison, who's much more like, do you know what I mean, underneath technical route runner. You got Justin Jefferson that just blows out any coverage you try and put on him. So he's not gonna see that many targets, right? If he goes somewhere like that.
No.
All right. Hey, after the state of after old Rashee Rice getting into a little racing incident this off season, like, I'd love to see him go somewhere like KC, because obviously Patrick Mahomes, even with a bad offensive line, Patrick Mahomes can buy time enough to let his receivers get downfield. But I honestly don't think he'll be on the board when they get to pick.
No, probably not. And Buffalo, I don't think would let him pass them either at 28. But
yeah, that's a good shout.
That'd be cool, Buffalo. Wouldn't mind that. I could see him landing in Denver. But the thing is, with Denver, they literally need every position. So who knows who they're going to take. But yeah, I like Brian Thomas there. Mile High Stadium, the little elevation of the ball too. He can get further downfield. So that'd be nice. Anything else on him?
Not so much on him. There's another. Wait a second. Who was the other guy that I noted down? Oh yeah. What's his name? Troy Franklin, coming from Oregon.
Okay.
He's 6'2", 187, so like he's quite on the lean side.
Yes. So is Addison though.
Yeah, but exactly. But he's like explosion off a line. Like, he's real quick. He's like a drag car. You know, he just absolutely fires off a line. He's like a really good vertical threat. Seems to track the ball really well. He's shown impressive durability despite the fact that he's only 187. He's taken some fairly big hits, and he's never got injured, which is a decent sort of omen for coming into the NFL. I like it. I like his vision. I like him. He had obviously coming out of like a really high what's it called, high octane offense in Oregon with Bo Nix. But yeah, I just like him as a guy. I think again, another one of those guys that NFL scouts will think, yeah, I can use that guy's a game breaker. Like, I can really use him.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind him in Miami. That's for sure.
Really?
Don't
you need another game breaking receiver? You've already got two. That's not fair.
No, we need a lineman. We need more time for Tua to throw. It's ridiculous. But yeah, his junior year, 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns, man. So yeah, end zone threat. He is 40 time too, if you put much stock into that.
Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah, what was his 40 time?
4.35. So
like like I said, his explosion off that line, man. Like, he could do some real damage. What was what do you think about guy who's like really similar but like a bit heavier? What do you think about Keon Coleman coming out of FSU? Because I've seen some real mixed opinion on him.
I see that too, but he has to go to a good offense that's going to be able to support him. He's not going to be the player that can change the quarterback, where they're just going to force feed him, and the quarterback, it doesn't matter who's throwing to him, like we saw with Garrett Wilson last year, Zach Wilson and whoever else was throwing to him. He was still putting up numbers. He needs to go to a better than average quarterback throwing to him that can get him the ball. Like, I would actually really like him. I didn't write this down, but Jacksonville, that's why he was in my mind earlier. If they take him, he's probably going to be he won't be a first rounder. Late second, you think?
I don't know. Again,
early third, probably.
Yeah, I could definitely see him going in the second. Yeah, I definitely see him going in the second because again, he was like another one of those transfers that like he was at Michigan State. He was like one of their best recruits in like a long time, and then they just did nothing to help him develop. They didn't really play in a pass heavy offense. Kind of unknown, not so unknown. I mean, unknown to the general like population. Do you know what I mean? Then he goes to Florida State, and boom, like he absolutely explodes, makes circus catches in like a really pass happy offense under Mike Norvell. Obviously, you've seen Mike Norvell do some he is a really good offensive mind. His offenses at Memphis were great. So like, yeah, I've seen massive amounts of mixed opinion on him. Like he seems like a really good contested catch guy, but then again, he kind of struggles off a line a little bit. Not got that like explosion, like I was just saying about with Franklin.
Good physicality, man. Like fighting people off the line and stuff, kind of like a DK Metcalf type style. But I mean, he also had more catches and more touchdowns than Jaden Reed, and Jaden Reed was a second round pick. So yeah, never mind about him making to the third round. He's gonna be in the second round.
Yeah, I mean, if maybe even late first, like if someone thinks, do you know what, I'd much rather take a shot on this guy being an impact than maybe picking up if they can see what they want later on in the draft and they go, do you know what I mean? So I can see him going to, I don't know, maybe maybe even like Bucks or something like that, like late on, like, do you know what I mean, in the last like 10 picks or so.
Yeah, they're the 26.
The 26, right? Yeah. So I could see someone like him going there.
What about
give Baker Mayfield an extra weapon, So
what about San Francisco at 31? They trade Brandon Ayuk and get him.
Yeah. You think he really put in for a trade? Because as far as like people reporting that he's asked for a trade, and then his agent came out and said, no, he didn't. You guys are wrong. But I like Ayuk because I've got him on a bunch of my dynasty rosters. I've picked him up a lot of places because he fell in rookie drafts when he came out. People kind of didn't, because he came out. It was Arizona State, I think he came out of.
I don't know.
I'm pretty certain it was Arizona State, but he wasn't one of those guys that was like top of people's minds. And I picked him up. I think I picked him up like late second, early third in some rookie drafts, and he's obviously like shown himself to be a really top wide receiver, probably maybe like top 5, top 10 at the position on his day. But Debo's number 1 in that offense, right? So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I can see someone like Keon Coleman going there if they offload Ayuk for picks in the draft, or I'm hoping we get a decent draft night in terms of trades. This and lots of moving around.
I think we will. Yeah, you're right. Final 2 seasons was at Arizona State.
That's right.
And then time at Sierra College in Rockland. Is that the same one? I don't know. We'll edit that out.
No, that's that. I think he was a JUCO prospect. I think
that's what it was. I'm like, I don't know the school. I am not familiar.
Yeah.
With it,
he was a JUCO kid. Yeah, he was a JUCO kid that came out and then exploded in like his last couple. Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, I've been trying to get Brandon Ayuk. I wanted to before last season because I saw the breakout starting to happen. So so other wide receivers, I like Ladd McConkey. He's out of Georgia too. So he did deal with injuries his senior year though. But that might actually work out in our favor. if you're paying attention, and he drops in the draft. So if he's in like one of those third rounds draft picks, late second, something like that, and he gets into one of those better landing spots like Kansas City, would love him there. He likes to find that soft spot in the zone and stuff and create separation.
Yeah.
He's not going to break tackles though, so don't expect that. But
Agreed.
really great route running though, and quickness, over the top speed. So he could still do that occasionally, but again, another guy. He's not going to make the quarterback. The quarterback's going to make him. So I don't want him just to go anywhere. Sorry, but Carolina, that would be bad. The beginning of the second round. Maybe, I don't know. They need to get offensive line help or something to help Bryce Young. He had to scramble around. I don't blame anybody for not watching the games last year, but
yeah,
he had really bad protection and bad coaching. But I believe in Dave Canales to make him better. Called that last year with him making Baker Mayfield better. Little side note, he did it with Geno Smith. He did it with Russell Wilson all those years as a quarterback coach too. So I believe maybe a guy we'll talk about later for a trade for targets, buy the dip on them. But yeah, I just don't. I think they need to go online first, but I don't know. Adam Thielen had some good weeks there too. So where they have Deontay Johnson there, they traded for in the free agency.
Adam Thielen's like a really good comp for Lad McConkey as well. He's that type of like really sharp route runner guy. Finds a soft spot really well, like you said. Great hands. Not gonna be like an absolute yak machine. You know, like he isn't gonna get the ball in space and just like charge past people, break tackles and that. I wouldn't want to see him go to somewhere like Carolina. Like you said, they need offensive line help. I really believe in Bryce Young's talent. Obviously, Alabama. I watched him even with a really bad offensive line and awful play calling under Bill O'Brien. He was still like whenever it came clutch time, you know, like the throw against Auburn to like back right at the end zone to come back in that game in the Iron Bowl. He did it multiple times. I absolutely took apart Georgia's offense in the SEC championship game. Georgia's defense rather, which was the best defense in the country at the time. So like I believe in his talent. And someone like Lad McConkey, like again, I feel like good underneath routes, right? Like he knows how to make space for himself real quickly. Someone like him could really help Bryce Young. But yeah, I agree with you. I'd much rather see them get offensive line help first. So he's not like, absolutely running for his life. He's not a big guy, Bryce Young, so he can't take many more hits, you know.
No, I actually looking at number 44 overall, Las Vegas. I could see him with the Raiders. That might be a better spot for him because Renfro's time's over. It depends who they get for quarterback too. So they're kind of a little bit of a mess. So
I've seen him come to Renfro quite a bit, but I don't know. I know because they're both white and they both like fairly small guys, right? Like in wide receiver terms, that's you're going to be an immediate comp. But I don't think they play like a similar game. I think Lad McConkey's a much more like polished route runner.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, like you said, landing spot makes a massive difference. I think he could be really fantasy relevant because of the type of guy he is, but he again needs to go somewhere where he's not. He's gonna see the field, and yeah, obviously there is the injury aspect as well.
What about New Orleans at 45? Play opposite of Chris Olave. Give Derek Carr another weapon. Derek Carr is not terrible. He's not
going to be their long-term starter either, though, is he? So it's like he's kind of that middle ground. He's like quarterback purgatory where they're probably just going to have him for maybe one more year, just whilst they because they need to sort out their cap situation over there, right? They've been over the cap for like 2-3 years running or something like that.
Probably,
Like they have
probably
no
longer.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're definitely gonna have to go younger at quarterback soon. They need a new coach too, but
Yeah, exactly.
that's a whole nother episode. One more wide receiver I want to talk about. See what you thought of him. Devontae Walker from Kent State transfer to North Carolina. Another guy. It's going to depend on his QB play, but he is a versatile weapon. He has great speed, but he has not peaked yet. And these are the type of guys that, like, I don't want the guys that, that there's the elite talent, like the top 3 wide receivers. Cool. But then I want other guys that show that they're good at a couple things, or great at a couple things rather, but they still need work. I'm okay being patient with him. So this is a guy, again, average 17 yards per catch. He has that big playability, so he needs more to his game. But
he tested really well though, right?
He did 40 inch vertical. What's that?
Right.
Is that a meter over there? Just over a meter?
40 inches. I'm really bad with like
Oh
conversions.
man, I know.
I'm the worst person to ask. But
put you
yeah,
on the spot there. So
but yeah, no, he did test really, really well. He was like one of the big risers after the combine, right? And after
absolutely.
his, like, yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, 97th percentile on the broad jump too. So he's just it might not be this year, but look for the second year breakout, or it's late this year. Like if you see him do well at the end of this season, like look for him to break out next year. But I'll be there to remind you, because I really only have 3rd round picks, so I'll be taking shots on him if I can, or late seconds. So we'll see where his landing spot is. But Buffalo would be cool if he went there. I'm not really sure what they're going to do with their offense, involving James Cook more and everything, and getting rid of Diggs. So, and
I was going to say no more Diggs now, right? So they've got. I would think they're going to bring in somebody that they feel like can fill those shoes, or at least do similar things to what Diggs does, like field stretching type of guy. I reckon like Walker strikes me as one of those guys that he's going to go like a lot higher than your layman type fan. Do you know what I mean? Your average type NFL fan or college fan think he will go, because of the way he tested. I think again, you see this year in, year out with the draft, right? Guys who didn't really maybe produce that much, or had like average QB play, or just has like a limited route tree, but like tests really, really well and has the physical traits. All of a sudden they're taken like 20-30 picks above where you think that they might go. I definitely could see that being the case for someone like him.
Okay, great. So he's going to go to New England, 34th overall. Great. Because they'll take QB
bury
and
his fantasy value.
Absolutely. We don't want that. All right, that's all the rookies I wanted to talk about, man. I don't know if you have any others you want to touch on. We're almost 45 minutes in, around there.
No, pretty much covers it for me. Like I said, going back to the running backs real quickly, really like Trey Benson coming out of FSU. Super versatile, like shiftiness, got the size. I just like think he like pop when you watch his tape. He just like pops, like he's got that like explosiveness. He pops off a screen. I can see him. I'd like to see him in a backfield where he doesn't have to play immediately with like a shit offensive line. Much like hopefully he goes somewhere where he gets a little bit of time to adapt to NFL, because obviously I don't think Mike Norvell's offense is very NFL centric at all. And that FSU offense, whilst it was great to watch, there's not a lot of it that translates in terms of scheme wise to what you'll see in the NFL. So I think he's got his step up will be quite big, but I just really like him as a prospect. So like I'm hoping to see like I'll definitely be keeping a close eye on like where he ends up going.
All right, yeah, we'll revisit him depending on his landing spot after the draft for sure. Make sure to follow us, just a tip FFP. We'll put a big board up. Why not? See if we get the top 10 or top 12 picks correct. We'll do that. But yeah, Trey Benson, kind of saying like don't reach for him, but if he's there in your rookie drafts, take a shot on him. and let him develop for sure.
Yeah, depending on how things shake out, like rookie drafts are always, it's always hard to tell, right, with rookie drafts because team lead comes above most most other things. So I could see him in some drafts going late firsts, especially in deeper leagues like 12 or like 14-man, 16-man leagues. Definitely see him sneaking into the first or at the start of the second. But then again, if he ends up somewhere that where he's going to get buried on the depth chart or what have you, I could easily see him fall into late second, early third. So he might be like a good little pickup in rookie drafts. But I feel like he's definitely one to watch.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Will do. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jake. Takers, we're going to do one more thing for trade talk for veterans. But if you just wanted to hear rookies, that's all for now. For that, but be sure to follow us, give us a like, subscribe, everything on YouTube, wherever you watch your podcast or listen to. It's much appreciated if you do that. Give Jake a follow at Dynasty Brit on Twitter. Might do some writing for us. He has done some writing for 5 Yard Rush, unless you don't want me to plug them. Sorry, Jake. But he's done some writing.
They're good guys. They're great guys.
They are. Yeah. Give them a follow too. And good, entertaining, some comedic stuff in his writing too. So highly recommend it. And thank you very much, Jake, for being on here. Yeah, no, you do good. You takers listening, sticking around. I just wanted to get your we don't have to go too deep, but who do you think's going to be tanking in their dynasty value? So, for example, I'm nervous about this, man, with everybody's mocks. Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, they had their peaks last year. I can see Chicago taking a rookie wide receiver, plus having Caleb Williams throwing the ball to them. It's not going to be a CJ Stroud type of year like it was in Houston, in Chicago, and supporting 2 top 12 wide receivers with like Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and even Noah Brown occasionally. Like you were able to start all those guys, and I'm trading away Keenan Allen to a contender and DJ Moore and being like, listen, I'm still building my team. I'm not competing. It's kind of hard to tell right now if you're competing or not, but after free agency, you kind of have a better grasp of things. But just keep an eye, like if they take a wide receiver or Brock Bowers and stuff, it's just, you're not going to get the value like you will right now. So those are 2 guys I'm looking to trade away.
You already mentioned one of my guys that I feel like is already tanked, and that's Nico Collins.
Yeah.
Like finally looks like he's, do you know what I mean? Like he's on the verge of a big break. I mean, he was obviously really fantasy relevant last year, but coming into this year, you think great, like he's finally got the QB, he's got the underneath threat with Tank Dell. Like they've obviously made massive strides offensively as a football team, got a great coach. So like you're thinking, great, this is awesome, and then Diggs goes there. So I mean, I just can't see. If they're paying that much for Diggs, I just can't see him not being fed some targets. And I see it hurting Nico Collins a lot more than I can see it hurting Tank Dell. So yeah, he's definitely one of my like dynasty fallers most recently. In terms of draft night, I think it's hard to say really. Like,
let me ask you about Nico right now. So he's going. This is his contract year. They're only 1 year for Diggs, and then he has no more guaranteed money, nothing. So he's gonna be a free agent after this year, retire. Who knows what? You can't predict what he wants to do. But so Nico Collins in a contract year. If you're a huge believer in CJ Stroud, do I take the opposite of him? He's declining in value. Do you buy that dip if you're a huge believer that Diggs is not going to be here next year? Nico Collins is going to get re-signed, and he'll be back to number 1 next year. I would probably wait until like mid-season, kind of see where it is, and we'll see that Diggs, you know how he does. He starts out hot, and then later on in the season, he dies out for like a 5-week stretch. So I would probably wait just because Nico Collins will be signed somewhere. But yeah, this year I'm kind of out on Nico, but say I'm going to be playing for the future. I'd take a bet on him getting signed elsewhere, getting a big contract somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. I like the idea for buying the dip on Nico Collins because he definitely showed enough last year, and
Mm-hmm.
if he gets pushed out a little bit for Diggs, and they
Yeah.
they don't want to re-sign him, I definitely think he's going to get like a lot of interest elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be buying. I'd be buying shares of Nico Collins right now if I can get them. That's for sure. Yeah, because I don't think his value will ever be lower than it is right now.
Right. Like this year, you're not expecting him to repeat, but
No.
if you're playing for the future. That's all. Just putting it into context there. Just
Yeah.
trying to bring up his he was in PPR 12th. That was the biggest year by far.
Mm.
Yeah, 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns. You can't support that with Tank Dell when he comes back and Diggs. It's not going to happen. So that's why I agree with you. I would wait. If I'm not competing midway, try to get him because I think his value will be even lower than what it is right now. You got anybody that you would want to trade for?
Trade for. I'm not sure. One spot that I am looking at is in the draft is Kansas City and their running back situation. Again, what's the name of the guy there that they took in like the 7th round out of Rutgers? I always forget his name.
Isaiah Pacheco.
That's it, Pacheco. Yeah. I remember where they took him and what school he came from. I can't remember his goddamn name.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's what I'm laughing at. I'm like, of course, you remember that.
It's so annoying sometimes. But yeah, see, like obviously because they never spent much draft capital on him, they're not paying him a load of money. So I see if KC take someone, I don't know, maybe like a Jonathan Brooks, right, or a Trey Benson, or even like a Bucky Irving coming out of Oregon.
Okay.
If they take him in like the 3rd or late 2nd or one of those types of players, right? If they invest maybe day 2, even early day 3 capital, I feel like Pacheco's value immediately starts to fall, like starts to drop off a cliff. Because they just don't. Do you know what I mean? If they just don't have to play him, they haven't paid him any money. They haven't spent much on him in terms of draft capital, and you see this all the time with guys, right? Look at James Robinson after the amazing year he had. Has this amazing year, but because there wasn't much investment in the first place, GMs and coaches don't really mind sacking him off for someone else. So yeah, and then you saw that happen with Etienne come in, right? So like you got Etienne coming in after James Robinson's amazing season. Obviously Etienne got hurt that first year, but immediately the presumptive guy at RB1 there was Etienne, even though James Robinson had already proved it over a year. So I like guys like that haven't had a lot of capital spent on them, and they aren't on big contracts, and they're in kind of especially a position like running back, right, which is easy to replace. There's so many running backs that you can pick up off the waivers, or veteran guys that can come in and do a decent job for you. Yeah, someone like him, I'm looking at if KC spend even moderate capital on a guy that's going to be competing with him, I see his value dropping massively.
Yeah, I can see that. And they signed CEH for 1 year. That guy they pay. Like, come on. But again, what you're pointing out is draft capital. He was the last pick of the first round and skyrocketed up people's boards and stuff. So yeah, GMs definitely and coaches are looking at draft capital. So I agree with you. Pacheco, yeah, sell high while you can right now.
Yeah, definitely. If I'm selling, I'm trying to sell Pacheco as much as I can at the moment. Yeah.
I agree. All right, man. Good stuff. Thank you very much for jumping on this lovely
Anytime, man.
Sunday evening. We got the draft this week. And then the season will be here before you can say Bob's your uncle. That's for sure.
Yeah.
The summer's got to fly by. So takers, have a fun time on draft night. Look for us, Just a Tip FFP. Maybe we'll jump on some live. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll have our big board set up And then I don't know, Jake will have to do a gentleman's bet of something. Who gets the most correct picks out of that top 12?
All right, yeah, let's do that for sure.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I'll send you through an email with my top 12 picks.
All right.
See where it goes.
Sounds good, brother. Thank you very much again for jumping on. Takers, give him a
Anytime,
follow
mate.
at Dynasty
Cheers,
Brit.
Mac.
All right, man. Good night, Takers. Say hi to your mother for us.